Hey, what's up, guys? It's March 26th, and I went on a mental trip, and I was thinking about for this week, and I stopped taking my prescriptions because I wanted to trim away the things that I'm consuming, the things that I'm doing, and it would allow me to evaluate how I think, how I feel. It's kind of the example of doing an audit, a mental audit on myself to see how can I improve on reflection. The week is up and down emotionally, and I've been waking up pretty early. I've been getting to Palo Alto at 6:20, and I walk before I go into the office, and then I work. I think because I stopped taking the medications that I'm supposed to wean off of them versus to stop them completely, because then I'm feeling the signs and symptoms of them, and they could be pretty dark. The things that I'm thinking about, even if I'm working, because work can be a distraction, and it's cool. I could participate in doing something good that society gets the benefit from. And I was also thinking, what's the difference between if I was a kid versus me in my 40s? Is I'm still trying to connect with people, I'm still trying to get love, or maybe I'm recreating those kinds of relationships where I love my mother but then couldn't have her as a kid. And it reminds me of past events. I was also reading to this book, that David Goggins book, Can't Hurt Me. I'm related with his stories because he's a colored person. He struggled as a kid. I think certain people, for example, me, I carry bricks. I didn't have my mother. I grew up small. I didn't speak my Asian language. Kinds of things that are mentally draining. And I would have to fight. It's kind of reminds me of swimming, where I'm trying to swim to the top. Um, I'm trying my best to stay afloat, but then there's certain times where I don't mind just sinking down and holding my breath until I have to swim back up to the top. This person's a living example of, I was thinking, Christ, because if there wasn't proof of what he did, you would think that it was unbelievable. It's a miracle, right? The things that this guy could do. And also for me, if I give myself credit for the things that I do, and I felt just because there's so many people in the world that I didn't matter. And it's a balance, right? Because in the grand scheme of things, I don't matter. I do matter to me though. He pretty much lost 100 pounds in 3 months. That means in 3 months I should be able to lose 15 pounds. Easy peasy. I would just have to stay consistent like him. And he has challenges where there are mental challenges, there's physical challenges. He talked about the cookie jar, where when he was a kid, he grew up really poor. His mother makes sure that she stocked the cookie jar. And for him to remember where he came from, his struggles, his triumphs, and to know that no matter what life dishes out, this cookie jar will be full. Everything will be fine. That's what I want to work for, who I want to be, what I strive for. And I was thinking, why am I attracted to like the things that I have, the clothes, where I live? Because nobody's forcing me to be here in the United States or to be doing the things that I'm doing. I am free. Because even though I'm Chinese, I wasn't born there. I don't share their culture and I don't share their language, their beliefs, their programming. It's interesting when I watch the news and then I see people vandalizing other people's cars, or people saying they don't like the United States. I like the United States. This is my home. This is my country. I drive a Tesla for the technology. I feel that I can't be manipulated. It's important for me to know how I could be manipulated. And there's a reason as to why I do the things that I do. If you did a background check on me, right? I have speeding tickets, those kinds of things. I'm no angel. I'm not perfect. The most important thing to me is my freedom. My freedom, my health, my time, my attention, and my energy. It's to manage my life and to be able to sustain it, to be able to contribute to society. I was also thinking that when I walk around, I see a lot of beautiful flowers. I don't have to just pick one. I can appreciate the beauty of all of them. Same thing with the cars when I'm at work. And I could see all of the cars, even my coworker, he has a motorcycle. It's awesome. It's all artwork, and I could appreciate it, the beauty of it, the functionality of the vehicles. It's an extension of the personality. Also, for other people that I work with, it's like school, work, school. I could see the people and they're beautiful, and it's not necessarily what they look like. It's the essence. It's who they represent, their heart, their personalities. Because looks, they fade. Everything that I have, my body, my toys, I'll give it all back when I take my last breath. And I was thinking what really matters. And I was also thinking, well, whenever it stops for me, I'll be okay with it. Because I think that I did what I could on this planet. I was also thinking I could say how I was a victim or how somebody wronged me, but then also how did I wrong myself? How was I harsh to myself? And I just learned have the kindness, compassion, understanding for myself to understand the bricks that I had growing up and listening to David Goggins' story because he got called the N-word. I got called the chink when I was a kid. I got into fights when I was a kid. He had bad relationships with his father, and I also had bad relationship. He was the second born. He wasn't the first, and I wasn't the first child either. I wasn't the favorite son. It made me realize certain people, they're not supposed to be there. Because it's can be a cancer, right? If, for example, imagine I had kids, I got married and all that. He had 2 divorces. I don't have any divorces, no maintenance, no child support. He said that his father was a pastor's son. And I understand why his father was the way that he was. Is because he learned from his parents how to be. Maybe he just tried to incrementally be a better version of the past. And he was also talking about racism, Indiana. It's less than a lifetime ago that these things were happening. And if I was watching things on TV to make myself hate myself, me watching programming to make me hate myself because of my eyes, my skin, even in the animal kingdom. If a lion was an albino, that lion would stick out. Most likely it wouldn't survive. And that's how I could be understanding as a kid. I could understand why I was an outsider. Because I was an outsider to myself. I didn't accept myself. And he was also saying how he was just trying to be the best person that he could be. Why wasn't he as social? He's more of a stoic person, a lone wolf. It's because that's how he grew up. That's how I grew up. If I didn't grow up learning about love, I would be miles behind the start. And it's a chase. A chase for something that perfection, right? I want to be perfect. I could try. I'm not perfect. I'm far from perfect. If I'm looking out to externals, for example, he's a Navy SEAL, I'm not a Navy SEAL. It doesn't matter. Because like he's saying, I am my own hero. Me. I am the most important person in my life. The most powerful person there is. It reminds me of that Marvel story of Thor and the Hulk. Who is the mightiest? It's all internal. There are external battles, but on most of the battles, they're mental, they're inside. This guy's like I was thinking the Bruce Lee of a human being. He's alive, I'm alive. If you're watching this, you're alive. That's pretty awesome. And it's more perspective that I could be thinking that I could be embracing the dark side, right? But why am I embracing the dark side? Why am I telling that side of the story? And I'm trying to get out of it. Maybe I think that certain things, they're way better than they are. Because just say, for example, I didn't grow up with my mother. What if you didn't grow up with your dad? What if you didn't grow up with your mother? Then you can understand these bricks and the deficit that needs to be overcome. And it's a battle. It's a push and pull, right? Sometimes when the sun's up, it's game time. It's time to work. And then when the sun is down, and then it's rest. And then I don't want to fight anymore. It's hard to turn off this kind of defensive mode. Because he was also saying that his dad pointed a gun at him or people wanted to attack him when he was just walking down the street. And I felt that way too. When I was in school, There was this one time, this guy, he wanted to fight me, and I met him after school, and then pretty much we had just started getting into it. I picked him up, and then I held him down, and then I walked away. And then he pushed me, and then he kicked me in my head, and then I just pretended like I was knocked out so that he would stop. Because I got my ass kicked a lot of times when I was a kid. And there was another time when I was in college. I was pledging, and then I was drinking this nasty Chinese vodka. I just pretended like I was knocked out from the alcohol, and then they were like drawing on my face. But it's like they stopped, you know? After a certain period of time, it's like there's battles, and it depends on how I want to fight them or not to fight them. Because just say, for example, if I had to defend myself, right? How would I do it? And is it worth my freedom? Is what I'm saying worth me getting locked up for? It isn't. Because freedom is everything. And even, for example, that Cain Velasquez story, that if you guys follow MMA, you know what it's about. There's rules, right? Have to be followed, unfortunately. But just say, for example, if I was in the wrong neighborhood, saying the wrong things, obviously I would get got. It's the animal kingdom, and there are rules after the fact. He was also saying that stretching helped him get his energy back, because he was saying how he was super tense as a person. Because just say, for example, if I'm always in kill mode, defense mode, then I'm going to be tense, right? I'm going to be locked in a position, and if I'm not relaxed, if my muscles, they're hard, then it's harder for the blood to circulate, for the back to be fully erect. Because I thought that I was 5'7", and then when the nurse, she took my height, I was only 5'6". Maybe if I worked on my stretching, I could get to 5'7". It doesn't matter.